The alien queen had ruled the planet of Varelia for over 3 centuries, her wisdom respected across the galaxies, yet none could claim to know her fully. Her advisors whispered in dark corridors, her generals plotted in distant command centers, and the populace obeyed her with reverent fear. But on a quiet morning, as the sun reflected off the crystalline towers of the capital city, she collapsed in her throne room. The palace guards rushed forward, but her body seemed to betray her own species. Her alien physiology, usually resilient beyond human understanding, shuddered as if it were suddenly fragile. The physicians were summoned, their luminescent instruments flickering in confusion as they examined her. All vital signs indicated a severe cardiac failure, a heart attack that no one had expected from the queen who had survived wars, betrayals, and planetary catastrophes. "She cannot speak," murmured one of the senior advisors, his voice trembling despite the calm he tried to project. "No one knows why this happened." The court fell into anxious murmurs, theories spreading like wildfire. Some whispered that it was poison, others claimed that some ancient curse had been awakened, and a few even dared to speculate that the queen had grown weary of her reign. But the truth, as it often did, lay far closer to home and involved a being that no one could have suspected. Among the guards stationed near the throne was a human named Caleb. He had arrived at Varelia decades earlier, a mere soldier in an interstellar peacekeeping force, and had distinguished himself through courage and intelligence. Unlike many who had come seeking fortune or prestige, Caleb had no ambition for power. His loyalty to the queen was unshakable, and over the years he had become both protector and observer of the alien court. Caleb knelt beside the queen, noting subtle signs that others had missed. Her breathing, though shallow, was irregular in a pattern he recognized from years of field experience with human heart patients. Her eyes flickered with a pain that was not purely physical, and her chest muscles tightened in an almost human expression of distress. The physicians were puzzled, their instruments failing to detect any foreign substances, no trace of radiation and no sign of disease. The queen's advisors demanded answers, but none could provide them. Finally, after hours of tense silence, Caleb spoke quietly, almost to himself, yet loud enough for the closest attendants to hear. "She is not suffering from what you think," he said. "Her heart is reacting to something she experienced emotionally." The room fell silent. Emotions as a cause for a heart attack was a concept almost alien to the Varelians. Their physiology had evolved to be impervious to ordinary stress, yet Caleb insisted. The physicians glanced at one another, hesitant but intrigued, while the queen's personal counsel leaned forward, their curiosity piqued. "It is rare," Caleb explained, "but even beings of great resilience can suffer when confronted with profound betrayal, fear, or grief. I have seen it in humans countless times, and I believe she has experienced something similar." A young advisor spoke up nervously. "But what could cause the queen, our strongest ruler, to suffer such distress?" Caleb paused, gathering his thoughts. He had not shared this observation lightly, for he knew the implications could be explosive. "She trusted someone completely," he said, "someone she believed would never harm her, and that trust was violated in a way that shattered her confidence." Murmurs spread through the room. The queen's bodyguard captains exchanged glances, their usual confidence shaken. The physicians frowned, uncertain whether they should intervene medically or consider the psychological dimension Caleb proposed. "It is not enough to simply medicate the heart," Caleb continued. "The cause must be revealed and addressed." The advisors pressed him. "Who could have done such a thing?" they asked in unison. Caleb's eyes, calm but sharp, met theirs. It was not a plot, not an attack from an enemy. It was a truth the queen had been shielded from for decades, and the revelation struck her like a thunderbolt. The queen stirred, her limbs trembling, yet her eyes remained closed. Caleb placed a hand gently on her arm, not to restrain her but to offer reassurance. "She knew someone had deceived her," he said softly, "and that someone was not an outsider. It was someone she trusted inside these walls." The court shifted uneasily. Accusations hung in the air, though none could name a culprit. The Varelians had a code of absolute loyalty, and the thought of betrayal from within was almost unthinkable. Caleb spoke again. "The queen once confided in me about a matter she could not reveal publicly, a decision that affected not just her court, but the lives of countless citizens. She believed it was for the greater good, and she kept it secret. But the weight of that secret, combined with an incident today, triggered her physiological response. "What incident?" asked a senior advisor, his tone edged with fear and curiosity. Caleb took a deep breath. A communication arrived from a distant colony. It revealed the outcome of a crisis she had tried to prevent decades ago. The truth was worse than she feared, and for the first time she felt powerless. Her body responded before her mind could process it. Gasps spread through the assembly. The Queen, their unshakable leader, had been struck not by force or disease but by the weight of truth itself. The advisors had underestimated the fragility hidden beneath her formidable presence. The physicians, guided by Caleb, administered treatments to stabilize her heart. They used techniques that combined Varelian medicine with human medical strategies, a collaboration that reflected the hybrid knowledge Caleb had absorbed over the years. Slowly, the Queen's breathing became steadier and color returned to her skin, though the strain remained evident. Caleb remained close, silently observing. He understood that the Queen's recovery depended not only on medicine, but on the resolution of her emotional turmoil. He requested an audience with the senior advisors, a rare privilege granted because of his trusted status. "She must confront the truth," Caleb said firmly. "Shielding her further will only prolong her suffering. The truth must be revealed carefully and respectfully, but without delay." The advisors hesitated. Revealing mistakes or hidden realities could destabilize the court and the public, yet Caleb's reasoning was sound. The Queen's heart attack had demonstrated the danger of continued ignorance. Finally, they agreed. A council chamber was prepared, and the Queen was escorted in, her eyes still showing the strain of recent events. Caleb remained near her, a silent pillar of support. A holographic projection was activated, displaying the records from the distant colony. The advisors recounted the events in a precise, neutral tone. There was no malice, no attempt to manipulate the Queen, only the facts that had emerged too late to prevent the consequences she had feared. The Queen listened, her expression unreadable at first. As the details unfolded, her body tensed, then slowly relaxed. Caleb noticed subtle signs of release in her posture, a recognition that she had not been defeated, merely confronted with the full scope of reality. When the council concluded, she remained seated, reflecting on the revelations. Caleb knelt slightly, ready to offer guidance if needed, but this time her eyes met his with clarity and gratitude. "You were right," she said softly, her voice stronger than expected. "The truth was heavy, but hiding it would have been heavier." Caleb nodded. "The heart responds to truth as much as fear," he said. "You endured both, and you survived. That is strength beyond any weapon or strategy." The Queen rose slowly, supported by her own willpower and the presence of her human guard. She addressed the council and the physicians, her voice commanding yet tempered with humility. "We will adapt," she said. "We will learn from this, and we will ensure that no secret, however small, endangers our people or ourselves again." In the following days, the court observed a subtle transformation in the Queen. She remained formidable, but a new respect for human resilience and insight became apparent. Caleb, once simply a guard, became a valued advisor, his perspective bridging the gap between human intuition and Varelian experience. Rumors spread across Varelia that a human had saved the Queen not with weapons, but with perception and courage, a notion that challenged long-held prejudices about humans. Other colonies began to send envoys to study Caleb's methods and learn from his approach to problem-solving, strengthening alliances in ways that no military campaign could achieve. The Queen, recovering fully from the heart attack, initiated reforms to include human perspectives in governance, acknowledging that emotional intelligence and critical observation were as valuable as traditional Varelian logic. The court, initially skeptical, came to respect Caleb not for his species, but for his wisdom, courage, and clarity. Months later, when Caleb walked through the palace corridors, he observed the Queen observing him from her balcony. She nodded once subtly, a gesture of recognition and trust. In that silent acknowledgement, Caleb understood that humans, though fragile in some ways, carried a strength that could not be measured by physical endurance alone. The story of the alien Queen's heart attack became legend, not as a tale of vulnerability, but as a testament to the unique power of humanity. Where others saw only alien superiority, one human had seen the truth, acted upon it, and changed the course of an entire civilization. Caleb's presence reminded the court daily that heroism could be quiet, insight could be lethal in its own way, and loyalty could transcend speed.